Welcome to Altenew. It's Take Two with Therese, and I've got two cards to share with a stamp highlight, and it's this fun stamp set here which is called Charming Doodles. Comes with coordinating dies and also a mask stencil. I'll just be using the dies today. I thought I'd share two different ways to use these flowers and two different ways to colour them and then make two cards. So I'm going to be doing some stamp layering. It's a really easy stamp set to layer. It's only got the solid colour for the centre and then the outline layer. And I find it easier if I'm going to go to the effort of lining up these things, these images in my MISTI, I might as well stamp a few out at a time. And I am using quite a few different colours here from a couple of families. I've used the Spring Bouquet set and the Golden Sunset because I wasn't sure which colours I was going to use. This is going to give me options for my bouquets and what colours I want to put together, but also it's going to give me extra flowers so I can make another card. So you might have noticed that I've been flipping my cardstock around, stamping a couple of images at the same time using the same colour, and that just saves time. When I use the outline stamp here, I like to do it after I've stamped the solid colour, line it up over the image and pick it up with the lid of my MISTI. I'll do one at a time, that way I don't accidentally bump one of the stamps while I'm lining them up. And I'm using the Obsidian Black ink. It's a pigment ink from Altenew, and it has a real bold, sharp detail outline. It's great. I love it. I'm using it on everything at the moment. I also did a couple of colours in the leaves, and these greens were from the Spring Bouquet set as well. This is a bit of an unusual combo set for Altenew. It actually has 6 inks in the set. It has 3 greens and 3 pinks, so it's a really versatile ink set. And I did the same thing here. I did the outline with the Obsidian Black after I'd stamped out the greens. And I did come in with the coordinating dies and cut out all of the images, and I didn't share that with you, but it didn't take long because I could do them all at once. I thought it would be a lot of fun to create my own panel here, and I've got some design paper, and this is from the Verdant Walk paper pack. This is the black and white, a fairly modern, but has a sparse sort of pattern on it. I thought it looked really nice with these bright flowers. And I've lined up 2 of the dies from the Nesting Labels die set to make a panel size, and I did that twice. So the second time I just did it out of some 80-pound Nina cardstock, and then I can line up the design paper on top of the cardstock so that it gives it a little bit more support, because I'm wanting to pop this off the front of my card, and the design paper just isn't heavyweight enough for that. It would bend. I wouldn't like that. Alright, so I have a sentiment here which is from the Crystal Frames stamp set, and I'm white heat embossing that on some black cardstock and wiping away the excess powder that I used to stop static after the ink had cooled down, or the embossing ink had cooled down. And I actually am lining this panel up over I want to get the sentiment in the right spot in the hole in the back, so I just lined that up just on my craft mat, and then I adhered it to the front of my card. It's much easier than trying to work it out before. Like I said, I've popped up the wide frame that I created with the Nesting Labels die, and then I just used some glue tape and some foam dots to add my little bouquet of flowers. And I like to sort of work out where my flowers are going to be first before I commit. But the good thing about this glue tape is that it is forgiving, because you can lift up your images and then move them around and adhere them down, but once it's been sitting there for a while, they will hold strong. It's just until the glue kind of sets that it is a little bit movable. And I've got some enamel dots here from the New Day stamp set, and I've used the matte finish ones, which I thought worked really well with these colours. I like the pink and the yellow together. It's really pretty. Alright, so my second card today, I'm using similar colours and similar products, but getting a little bit of a different look. What I decided to do was some artist marker colouring, so using the alcohol markers. So I'm using the permanent black ink this time, and I seriously think I need to re-ink my ink pad. It's so dry, but I persevered instead of inking it. I don't know why. I was in a hurry, which kind of makes it worse, because I should have just taken the time to re-ink it, and then I wouldn't have had to come in with my Copic marker at the end and do some touch-ups. Anyway, I stamped the whole panel with the largest flower from the set, and it's kind of the largest single leaf in the set. And like I said, came in with my Copic marker. I did create another wide frame using the nesting labels die here, and I'm just very gently removing the painter's tape, so I didn't want to have to start again. And I find if you kind of roll it back on itself and pull very slowly, I don't have a problem with the paper tearing, although some cardstocks do tear a lot easier than others. And I thought this time I'm only actually going to be colouring the frame portion of this card, the bit that I've die cut out, and I've got two of each colour. Like I've got two yellows and two of the purpley pink colours, and I'll have the numbers at the blog as well, so that you'll be able to see which ones. Oh, you can see them off to the side as well. Forgot. There you go. Have a look. You can see exactly what numbers I've used right here. And I thought it'd be fun to actually colour the stripes of these flowers in different colours, in the two different colours. And I didn't do single stripes in each of the colours. I decided it would look better if I did them in blocks. So you'll notice that some of them are in groups of 2, some in groups of 3, and some in groups of 1. And just sort of did the pink and the yellow flowers near each other, and I didn't include all the colouring because it's pretty much the same and it's really simple. Anyone can do this colouring. It's probably the hardest thing is trying not to go outside the lines, but I like to use the sketch sort of point of the pen, not the bullet. But the good thing about the artist markers is that they do have a bullet point, and if you feel more comfortable doing the smaller areas with them, then it's a great option to have. I really thought initially when I was planning out this card that I was going to use the mask stencil to add the colour over these flowers on this particular card, but I don't know, I just had an epiphany and I thought it'd be fun to use the actual artist markers instead. But I think that the mask stencil would have been another fun way to add colour. I just like the fact that by using these I could actually add the stripes and add that as a detail. I had a thought that I'd like to colour around the edges of the flowers in black, and I don't use my black alcohol marker very often at all, and I hesitated before I did this because I wasn't sure. I thought I was going to like it, but I wasn't sure if I was going to like it. But I thought, what have I got to lose? I'm going to give it a try, and I'm really happy that I did. Initially I was going to go for like the BG sort of family, that blue-green kind of colour, or a pale blue, and keep it safe. But I'm really glad I went with the black because it's nice and bold. Heaps of fun. I'm adding a sentiment. It's from the Crafty Life stamp set and using the black ink yet again. I'm a bit addicted. But I did decide to use my Misty to line it up. I am stamping directly on the front of my top fold card, and that's why I had all my pieces in place before I stamped, so that I knew I was going to stamp it in exactly the right place for my die cut. I am adding the outline border of the nesting label that I die cut earlier, but I'm not colouring. I didn't colour any of this portion in. And then I have popped up the actual frame. Oh, and I must say I did use the Nina 110 pound cardstock for this frame, and I usually don't like colouring on that with alcohol markers, but it went really well today. I think I'm getting used to it. And as a final touch, I have added some of the heart enamel dots here, and one thing that I like to do with those is to actually add a drop of glue behind them, and I use my matte medium just to make sure once I get my placement right, then I know they're not going to shift. So don't forget to like this video if you like it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. There's always heaps to see here. Till next time, bye.